So this is a citizen. She's a woman. You were supposed to be objectively investigating. You weren't so much as objectively investigating her as objectifying her in those moments, correct?
Again, Mr. Jackson, it was a poor choice of words and a joke.
Some truly explosive moments as Trooper Michael Proctor was grilled on cross-examination this afternoon. Proctor read off texts from a group chat between he and other police investigators. Many of the texts involved offensive and topics referring to Karen Reed in an inappropriate way. Comments even Proctor admits were unprofessional. We're joined now by Sue O'Connell, who was in the courtroom today and can kind of provide some context for us.
Because what I think a lot of us want to know is, how did the jury take that in, to hear texts read out loud when they have those kind of words in them?
Yeah, it was compelling. I mean, first of all, remember, Lally brought them up first, and Proctor read them first with Lally. We could barely hear Proctor, right? And the judge kept asking Proctor to speak up. We could barely hear him. So some of these words weren't getting by. All the jurors were leaning forward, trying to hear him and trying to understand what that was saying. But it all came into very sharp focus, obviously, when Alan Jackson got up and started repeating the things and having him read the things that maybe people missed the first time. We all, in the press pool, we were all trying to share to see what we were hearing. The jury is majority female, and they range from age, I think, of about 25 to maybe 65. And to watch some of them who have not had a lot of facial expressions about what's happening in the courtroom suddenly have expressions. One woman had her mouth open. One woman had her hand over her mouth and was watching. One woman who doesn't often look at the witnesses leaned in and looked at him like this. One woman looked back and looked at every single female juror she could look at to make eye contact with. Now, I'm leaving the men out because I wasn't necessarily paying attention to them, because suddenly the coalition of women on the jury were reacting to this language, to these words, and at one point they were just shaking their head. One woman laughed that this was just, I have to guess, an outrageous laugh reaction.
Absurd. Like one of those.
Yes, like
absurd.
Yes.
You know, you have been very careful about not becoming too immersed in this case before you heard what happened in the courtroom. So you had heard the name Michael Proctor mentioned many times. How did his testimony match up to your expectations?
Well, it's one thing to read or hear in an opening statement what the words are going to be, and then it's another to see a state trooper sitting on a witness stand saying that he sent these texts to his superiors and to a group. So it was really striking. He looked like a beaten down man. I mean, he sat on that witness stand and had his head down during the sidebars that were happening. His energy level couldn't have been lower. It was like a dead man walking sort of moment where he was just up there and resigned to what happened. I was shocked by the content of the text messages. Again, I didn't do a deep dive. I didn't know what they all said, but they made fun of just about every aspect of Karen's life as a person who has a chronic illness, as a woman. It made fun of people who have disabilities all across the board, and used language in such a graphic way to describe a human being. And objectified doesn't even go nearly far enough. So regardless of what you think she did or she didn't do, to have the law of our state, law officers of our state, having this discussion was really, really shocking.
I would assume at this point, I shouldn't even need to ask this, there really was nothing he could do on that stand that could undo the damage.
I think on one hand, he was sorry. He kept expressing regret. He said they were, poorly chosen words, which I think it's more than that. But also when Alan Jackson said, you made fun of my partner Yannetti right here. He's sitting right here. Do you want to take back some of the words you said about him? And he found it in him to say, no, I still don't like him, which was one of those moments where I saw one juror go, no, you're still that guy. Right? He could have just said, I regret those words as well, but he couldn't let that go. And I think in some ways that might have done some damage in a way that he didn't expect it to, because one person was just like, you're kidding me. You're still going to take a shot at Yannetti after all of this that we're listening to.
Clearly the most consequential witness so far, Sue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Sue O'Connell, thank you.